welcome to Chapter 7, At the Beginning with Parents and Children. I want to start off this chapter by talking a little bit about the traveling suitcase. Hopefully you've read the description, you've looked at the rubric, you've looked at the requirements as far as fitting along with our semester theme. I also attached some pages that had pictures of how to decoupage, how to decorate the outside of the container. I brought with me an example container. Here it is. This is a traveling suitcase, and you'll notice this is one that hasn't been decoupaged. In order to do the decoupage, you're going to actually attach the pictures and glue them on. Inside, though, is what I want to show you. I'm going to take the lid off and show you an example. This is just an example one that was pretty well done. You'll notice the first thing I pull out is a notebook, and it says Resources and Information for Parents. And inside you'll find the typed pages that I'm looking for. This one is a letter to parents and guardians. You'll notice inside this letter there's some good details from the student. It tells exactly what's inside this box. It tells a weekly schedule. This is probably like super complete. It shows the exact schedule of which child's taking it when. It shows some additional resources in here that are for families. Behind that packet, then in the same folder, I found data from the surveys, and again, you notice when you read this, I meant it could be a hypothetical class or it could be a real class, and certainly those of you who are already working with children may want to go ahead and make something you can use in your classroom. So this is the ones that she asked, you know, each child, what kind of materials did they have at home, and she put an X, do not have at home. Certainly this could have been typed, but it would be more complete had it been typed. And then you'll see she actually went to the effort to show handwritten surveys that were done with each child, and I think she actually did do this with real children. And then behind that, she had some additional resources in here for families about Healthy Fit Families from NACCE. There are some things in here from the Partnership for Children, and then just some good Sampson County information to get resources. So all of that is on the left-hand side of this notebook. And again, you can organize this any way that you want to, but it's a really great way. Then she also included something from a totally different class that she made in active play, and this was a poster she made for Great Ideas for Play with Children. She made this for an assignment in that class. It was just an extra she added in here. Certainly helped to enhance her project. So I'm going to slide that back in to her little box. The next thing I'm pulling out is her journal, and this should be as part of your project. You found that it should have some kind of schedule or information. The only change from the last time this was assigned, where we got this example from this student, this was a handwritten letter to parents. I personally prefer typed letter in here, maybe with a handwritten note attached, and probably having this on the, the paper side is not as sturdy as if she'd had it on the inside cover, and she could have maybe put then this schedule on the back just to improve it a little bit, but certainly it's very good. It's a well-written letter in everyday, ordinary language. And then she gave also an example of what a parent might write in case the parents aren't sure, the families aren't sure what to even write in such a journal. And then there's just lots of space. The next thing in here is a game. And this was a theme, that had to do with animals and things. This was a Quack and Count game. You'll notice that this is all laminated. Again, if you want your projects laminated, you would get those to me and I will laminate them for you and then get them back. But she did little folders. On the outside, it lists the directions. It tells exactly what's in it, all typed, nice and neat, easy to read. Inside, you'll see are the pieces. Again, nicely made, all laminated. She's got information with all the little pieces inside, and it's labeled on the back, materials, in a little pocket, so it was easy for a parent or loved one to work with. The second one here is a set of alphabet materials, and again, this one talks about what kinds of development it promotes, and it shares the directions in the materials. It also alludes to that they needed to use Play-Doh, which she does have in her box separately, and she found out from her survey that not everybody had Play-Doh at home, so she included it inside this packet. And then she had a literacy activity with cards and And on the back of each card, here's an example B. On the back, she had the word butterfly in case parents and loved ones were trying to come up with the word for what this picture is. She had it all very clearly laid out and labeled. So that's another activity in here. Then she has two children's books, again on the same little animal theme, which is what we had going on that semester. She has a Pete the Cat Play Ball. This is a little bit older age book or book to read with your parents. And then she had Little Raccoon's Nighttime Adventure. Again, this tied back into her pond and the ABC kind of idea so parents could see there's a little theme going on. In here as well, she's included some spare paper. Again, that's something she found out in her survey. A lot of kids were missing paper at home. She's got a die, which she made out of, it looks like maybe like cardstock, something heavy, and then she just taped it all so it's sealed up nicely. It's nice and big, easy to read, easy to see. She has some little numbers and counting learning card game. Again, just something a little extra. And from her survey, she also found out a lot of kids didn't have these types of materials at home, and so she needed to include some markers and pencils and crayons. And so that's pretty much her box. It's a really good box, has a lot of good materials. It was professionally laid out. It's well put together. Now, certainly as you're working on your assignment in your project and you're beginning to think about working with parents and children, I certainly hope you will email me or call me and ask questions, because this is a helpful project for loved ones to have that good homeschool community connection. And so we want to provide and make materials that children can take home and enjoy using with their families. So this needs to look professional, but more importantly than looking professional, more importantly than how great you can decoupage the outside and make it look, I want to be sure that what you put on the inside of the box is developmentally appropriate. I should not find not one single coloring book, not one single ditto sheet or worksheet. I should not find anything that encourages violent play. No plastic guns, no plastic knives or swords. Now, I know that sounds crazy, but you can imagine these things have been turned in. So I want to be sure that everything in this project is developmentally appropriate and it's thought out for the age group you're interested in working with. Now, obviously, hers was for some older preschoolers, early kindergarten, first grade age children, and then that's why you saw a lot of the letter activities and things which would be very age appropriate for that age group. If you're wanting to do your traveling suitcase for younger children, then think very carefully about putting age-appropriate activities. If you're not sure, ask me. I'll be happy to clarify if I think it's age-appropriate or not. For those of you who are working with school-agers, and I know we have some who are interested in working with certain subjects, say maybe math or reading, certainly then you are welcome to take that approach. Work with your age group. A traveling suitcase can be wonderful even at the elementary and middle school grades, and certainly if it's well thought out. And it can kind of go along with our theme. So you can take a lot of creative leeway with using our semester theme. Now, as we look at Chapter 7, I want you to really think about these preview questions and think about what are some good ways to begin this relationship with families. A traveling suitcase is one way just to begin a relationship, that you're encouraging this two-way communication. I send home materials. You do some things with them with your child. You write some information. You send it back. It's just one way. Another way might be your parent philosophy statement or your loved one's survey that you're working on. With the other chapters, certainly those can be other ways to begin those relationships. But ultimately, you want to think about how can you support parents and children through transitions to new schools, to new classrooms. There are a lot of different ways we can do that. It's also important for you to think about what do you understand about separation anxiety and looking at those with children and with adults. And so that's where we're headed in this chapter. Initially, the contact should happen between teacher, parent, and child at some kind of orientation. For a school-age child, this is probably when they're choosing a school, and that's their parents' first contact. They meet with the teacher, they ask questions, they talk about how they're going to start on the first day. Certainly, at any age group, orientation or an opening workshop time where parents can come in and look at the classroom is helpful. For those of you who want to work with younger age children, it may not be something formal like an orientation, but maybe an open house night or a welcome day where parents and loved ones can come and meet with you, preferably without the children or sometimes with the children as well, so that they have time to talk with you and ask questions. At orientation, many times teachers and children will make arrangements for a home visit. We know that most of our local Head Starts make home visits at the beginning of the year, again sometimes mid-year or at the end of the year. At bare minimum, a phone call to a family at home, letting them know you're really excited about getting to work with their child, sending home a letter, welcome to Miss A's classroom, welcome to Miss Amanda's classroom, and then making those first visits to the classroom. Now, I've seen some really great ideas to help children feel comfortable. This year, I have a friend whose daughter teaches kindergarten, and she had a series of art activities that the children made when they came to visit her classroom. And so on orientation night, the children came in, they went to little stations around the room, and they made 3 different activities. They took one home, and I think one went on the door to the classroom. It was like a little personalized something that went with their theme. And then the third thing went on a bulletin board. So when the children showed up on the first day of school, they already had some artwork there. They had a vested interest in what was going on. Certainly, you want to think about how they enter the classroom. Ideally, transitioning would be wonderful. The younger they are, the more transition and easing in. If you're going to be working with infants and toddlers and 2-year-olds, they may want to come only, an hour or two a day for 2 or 3 days before they spend a full long day in your center. Certainly, most school-age classrooms, kindergartens in particular, kind of stagger entry where a third of the students come the first day and then the second day and third day, and by the 4th day of school the whole class is there, can be very helpful. Older school agers, often we just all start on the first day and hope for the best. But certainly establishing some good habits of communication and how those first days will go will be very important. So I want you to think about it. If you're starting kindergarten this year, what could you try to help get parents involved? And what kind of challenges could you expect in carrying out your plan? Thinking about, not everybody's going to show up to your orientation. And so the kids who didn't come to orientation in my friend's daughter's classroom, they didn't have any artwork the first day. And so she wanted to think about, and she had a backup plan, the first hour of school she had some activities that the kids would do who had already made those things. And then she had some time where the children who couldn't come to orientation were able to come in and make their things so that they could start on the same foot. But certainly, there might be some challenges to your plan. You also want to think about separation experiences. Many children experience regression or aggressive behavior. Some kids are just sad. There's a lot of anxiety on the part of both parents and children anytime we start a new situation or a new classroom. So you want to think about how to prepare parents, how to prepare families for those separation behaviors. Have you thought about how will you do drop-off? How will you do pick-up? How will you make some kind of rituals that are good for parting and helpful for parents rather than just drop and run? Have you thought about how can I say goodbye in helpful and healing ways for children and adults? Certainly, you want to develop the children's trust in the parents' return. And so you want to think about how you're going to talk about what happens at the end of the day. Thinking about the whole family, those separation experiences, and certainly paying special attention to parents and children in regards to, especially younger children, transitional objects and dependency on those things. Those could be everything from a blanket to a favorite stuffed animal, which can be excellent in helping to deal with separation anxiety. For an older child, it may be a note from home. I know my own children would tell you that on every first day of school, they can expect there is a special note with some special stickers and just a little I love you from us in their backpack, and they can find it in there somewhere. They know it's going to be there. My son may be 12 years old, but on the first day of the 7th grade, he was nervous. And so that was just a small little letter, a little note, an object to help with that transition. So anything that you can do to help parents come up with a good idea to help ease the anxiety is very helpful. In summary, make some good beginnings, really think it through, and really work on your communication. So this is a great chapter. Go back and read it again, look at the PowerPoints, and certainly really start to work on that project. I'll talk